Good morning, everybody. This is Robert Radford. I'm continuing with 50 Years of Chess, and the heat remains, both off the board and on it, as you're going to find out in this game. Plenty of heat in this game, I promise you. It's a cracker. My opponent is Michael J. Meadows. Mike's a really good player these days. A lot stronger than when I played him back in 2009 on the 4th of December in the Bristol Congress. He was coming up the tracks. You could hear him coming up the tracks. He was showing good results, beating good players, and it was inevitable that he was going to be a stronger player. I didn't think he'd be as strong as what he did become later. He hit 2000s. Over 2000 in today's terms. I think I remember him being in the 180s in the ECF old rating, so he would have been over 2000. I know he's got really good online results. There's one online chess site that he's on, and he's got a 3000 bullet rating, I think. So he's playing good quick player, obviously. So yeah, nice young man. He was at Bristol University at the time, and then he joined the Down End Chess Club, Down End Fish Ponds, where he was heavily involved there for quite some time. I think he had a lot of travelling to do. Somebody told me from Northampton to Bristol is quite a long way, and it's a difficult one to keep doing. So he's not playing in the Bristol League. I don't think he's playing in the ECF English Chess League at the moment either. More online and stuff like that. And so right now I'm going to show you this game. Michael was around 1705 at that time, and I was 1833. So this is how the game went. Michael began with e4. I played c5, which was my usual reply to e4 most of the time back then. Knight f3, d6, d4. It's playing a nice open game here. cd, knight takes d. Knight f6, knight c3. It's all standard book moves. a6. Now this is the Night Orc variation of the Sicilian. Bishop g5 and e6, which is, I believe, the correct move to play here. I don't want my pawns to be up there fractured. That would be awful. f4, bishop e7, queen f3, queen c7. So I'm preparing for whatever's coming my way. I know he's going to cast queenside, I could see that. And he did. That's why I got my queen off of that d-file. And in the right place to be attacking his c2 pawn. Knight c6. Now, this is not book. Knight d7 is a book move. But I've often wondered what's wrong with knight c6, because I feel you have to challenge that knight on d4. It's got such an impact there, especially on that e6 pawn later, if it ever moves and go into f5 or back to b3 and then other places. I don't like that knight on d4. I've had it there myself many a time in white's position, and there's a very strong knight. So I want to try and get that off if I can. So I played knight c6. Mike played g4. This is showing some real intent here on his plan to smash me, I'd say. So knight takes knight, rook takes knight, and I played b5. I have to start showing some counter-attack, otherwise it's going to be all down my king side when I castle, and I'm going to be in a lot of trouble. So I have to create counterplay, which is the normal way to do it here. for black. So I played b5. Michael played bishop g2. So I need to get that bishop b7 in before he pushes that pawn on, which would be useful for him. Or he takes bishop takes knight, then pawn on. So yeah, I had to play bishop b7. Now he's doubled his rooks and forming a battery on d6, and I brought my rook across to c8 rather than d8 to protect the pawn, because I want to be able to have a chance in this game to counter-attack. And if that rook comes off of d4, attempting to take d6, I can play the pawn on and should be able to get something. But he's seen my plan of checkmating him on c2, so he's played rook up to d2. Interesting move. Castle. Now he's gone back queen to do d1. What a good move that is. He's now got a triple battery, really hammering away on my d6 pawn. So I played e5. Let's see what he does. He played the rook back to d3. Now I pushed on with the b pawn to get a real good look at that c2 pawn after he moves the knight. So he took my knight first with his bishop. I retook with my bishop. Then he's gone in knight d5, giving himself a monster knight there on d5. I can't allow that knight to stay there. So I've chopped it off with my bishop. And Michael's retaken. Rook takes pawn on d5. I can't mate him yet because he's still got a rook covering that c2 pawn, so that's not going to happen. So I play e takes f4. This is highly unusual. I had to think about my position. I knew I was going to drop the pawn on d6. Probably, even if I go back with the bishop, it's going to be hard for me. Bishop e7 is an admission to having to defend probably the rest of the game. So I had to think, and I did spend quite some time on this, and I worked out a plan with e takes f4, rook takes d6, bishop to g5, and then I'm threatening to play the pawn on to f3, pinning his rook to his king. So the best he would be able to do then is bishop takes pawn and bishop takes rook. I'd be the exchange up. So that would give me a real chance. So Michael took the d6 pawn as expected. So I then played what I said I would do, bishop to g5. So he attacked my queen, and I'm glad he did that because it gave me a tempi, a real good tempi. I played queen to c4. Now this, from here on, I am ahead. I'm definitely ahead. If you look at the bar on the right with the red line on the right of the board, you'll see that Michael's white line has dropped down considerably and black's is going deeper into that side of the red line, which means I'm ahead. Now, the plan is he's got to defend that pawn on a2. So he's going to play king b1 in my estimation. And when he does, then I can push that pawn on, hitting the rook. And he's probably going to attack my queen with rook d4. And when he does that, do I move the queen or not? You say, what do you mean? No. Of course you got to move the queen. Do I? Do I have to move the queen? I don't think so, because I can play pawn takes bishop, Rook takes queen, rook takes rook. And he's probably going to have to bring his queen across to try and win that pawn. So you go queen g1. And then I take the e pawn. Yeah, I take the e pawn. And he can't take that pawn on g2 because I've got rook down e1 mate. So, well, it won't be mate. You can bring the rook back to d1. And then I play rook takes rook and it's mate. So, he would go queen to g1, I think. And when he does that, then I take the pawn on e4. He would then have to bring the other rook back or it's going to be bad news. So he brings the other rook back to d1. And then I have to defend that pawn. So I come down rook e2 to defend that pawn on g2. And he will want to get his queen off of there so that he can put the rook behind and free the queen. So he'll probably come out somewhere on that g1 a7 diagonal somewhere. I'm not sure where. Maybe to c5, hitting the bishop and the pawn on b4. And when he does that, then I just drop that beautiful bishop into e3, hitting the queen, and I've got a queen in square covered with my bishop. And it's going to be hard for him from then. I don't know what he's going to do. I'd have to see what he does from there on. I can't see any further than that. So he's gone queen b1. He's gone king to b1, f3, and yes, rook to d4 as I said. So here it is. This is a crunch. It's a big risk I'm taking, but I don't think so because I'm sure I've worked this out right. F takes g2. Rook takes queen on c4. Rook takes rook. Queen across. He has to really to try and win that pawn. And that's when I take that pawn. He can't. I took the pawn in the middle, e4. He cannot take that pawn yet because of rook down e1. He can only bring his rook back, then rook takes rook, as I analysed earlier. So he has to bring the rook back. Yes, he's brought the rook back. Now he's threatening to take the pawn on g2. So I brought my rook down to protect it on e2, as I said. And he did go to c5. It's obvious, really, that would be the one he'd have to go to. Either there or to d4. But I think that's the move he had to play. So I now cut off that queen from that g1 square, which is the queen in square. And at the same time, I'm attacking his queen. And this is as far as I got my analysis, but looking at it now, if he plays queen e5, and I play pawn g1 queen, rook takes queen, bishop takes queen. Oh, and he's got queen takes rook on e2. Yes. So there's a problem. Something I've got to work out there. But there is an answer to this if he does do that. Which he did. Can you see the answer to this? Can you see how I can... Is it one game? I've got one game. It's over now. I've got... look at the bar on the right. It's all black. He's just got a tiny bit of white down at the bottom of that bar. So how do I finish this game off? I'll give you guys a few moments to work it out. And then I'll tell you. I can hear those cogs going around with you guys as you're trying to work out how do I continue with this game. Okay. The move I played which is a killer, is rook d2. He can't take the bishop because a rook takes rook mate on d1, and he can't go rook takes rook on d2 because of pawn to g1, queen, check. He has to bring the rook back, and then queen takes rook mate. So that's a real dilemma for him. It's completely over, but he carried on a little while, hoping that he might be able to do something. So he played rook to e1, and then I simply just played g1 queen. He took, I took with the bishop, and then there's nothing to do. He's got to stop the mate on the back rank, so he's come queen to e1. But I just brought the other rook across to d8, and Michael resigned. So that was our first ever encounter, which I won. A nice game, I think. But in fairness to Michael, we played 4 times altogether. The second time we played was in a congress a little bit later, 2 years later I think, which ended in a draw. I was white in that game. And then we had 2 league games, and he's starting to improve quite a bit then. And he beat me on the first league game. I was playing for South Bristol at the time, and again I was white, playing a reversed Dutch opening, and Leningrad Dutch, that's right. And then we played another time up at South Bristol, and he beat me again that night. He was playing a Dutch defence, and he played it really well. He was very strong by then. So we haven't played since. But he leads 2.5, 1.5 in the 4 games we played. Who knows, we might play one day. Might meet him online. But in fairness, I think he proved over those 4 games that he had become stronger than me. He wasn't quite strong enough yet, but he was later. So that's a game. That's a game. And it's probably one of my 2 favourite and best games I ever played, I believe. The other one being the game I played with Michael Brigden, which was covered by Bristol Chess Times. There's a video by 2 of my former teammates at Horfield who covered it. If you want to see it, look for the playlist and you'll find it. By the way, if you're having trouble finding the playlist, because I've got over 170 games I put on here, then just type in a search bar, 50 Years of Chess, Robert P. Radford, playlist, and it will come up, and you'll find it. And then you'll see all the games that's on there, going right back to last Christmas. For a lot of you who are new subscribers, you may only be seeing the games going up, what I'm doing now, but I promise you I've played lots more. I have a picture here for you of Michael Meadows. There he is, on the right. That's probably around the time I played him, maybe just a year or so before this picture was taken, I think. Of course, he's a bit older now, because it was 2009, which was, what's it, 17, 18, 16 years ago, something like that. So he'd be a bit older than that now. But yeah, that's him, young Michael. And I just thought I'd show you so you get an idea of a picture of the person you see. I always think it's good to do if you can. So thanks for watching. See you later.